My name is Shawna Brown, and I'm counsel here at Mandelbaum Barrett in our elder law department. I found an interesting story about Tony Bennett. So he died in 2023. He was 96 years old, and his most famous song was "I Left My Heart in San Francisco." Unfortunately, his estate is left in the New York Surrogates Court, where it's languishing right now because his children are fighting over it. So, Tony had a very long career. He was still performing in his 90s. He had a very famous run with Lady Gaga. In 2016, he actually made his final will and trust. And in that, he left a certain amount of money to his widow and then the remainder to his 4 children in equal shares. So the way he set up the documents, he made it very specific that his daughters, who were children from his second marriage, would not have any control over decision making with regard to his estate or trust. However, his sons from his first marriage could have decision-making power. What ended up happening was one of his sons ended up being in control of everything. He claims there's only $12 million in Tony's estate. The daughters are saying, oh, no, there's a lot more than that. Look, dad was still performing at 90. He was making $100,000 a pop at performances. And something is not right here. So they're actually litigating the matter in surrogates court, and they want a full accounting. And I'll talk more about that later, from their brother. And they're alleging that he's, paid himself outsized fees for doing things, and they want him removed as a trustee. The way I look at this matter, there's kind of 2 lessons here. One is that when we're talking about estate planning, it's always important to think about who's going to be in charge, who is going to be making decisions about the estate or trust. Sometimes, people say, well, I have 2 or 3 kids and they don't really get along, or maybe, it's 2 against 1. And oftentimes the solution to that is to name what we call a neutral person or a neutral entity as the trustee or the executor. Maybe you don't name any of the kids. Maybe you name a cousin who gets along with everybody. For someone like Tony Bennett, who has millions of dollars, maybe you name a bank or a financial institution to be in charge, so that there's some distance from the emotions that the siblings might have, and also somebody who is perhaps more trustworthy than siblings who are fighting with each other. However, sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes the parent will name one child to be in charge. Maybe the other kids don't like that child or don't trust them, and there's a problem. So do they have no recourse? No, they do. And that's exactly what's happening with Tony's estate right now. I mean, you can say to the person who's in charge, I want an accounting from you as executor or trustee. I'm a beneficiary. I want you to tell me what you've done and provide me with, how much income has this estate or trust earned? What distributions have been made? What expenses have been paid? All of that can be requested. And if the trustee or executor is not forthcoming with that, you have recourse to go to the court and ask for that. So people are often surprised to learn that they aren't automatically entitled to all of the information about the estate or trust. They think they're going to get statements every month or, weekly updates. And sometimes that happens, but sometimes it doesn't. So that's why we're here to help with things like that. Whether you're developing your plan or the plan's already done and there's a problem, there are a lot of options available to help move things forward so that you get what you deserve.